Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, as well as grade 10s for 2022. Welcome to this video regarding subject choices for grade 10. Ek gaan probeer om vanaand vir u in 'n kort tyd soveel inligting as moontlik deur te gee. Asseblief neem in ag dat ek onmoontlik nie alle aspekte kan hanteer nie en kontak asseblief u verkose tersiêre instansies indien u meer inligting wil hê rakende spesifieke kursusse of rigtings. Note that this presentation will be available on this link afterwards in order for you to listen to it again if needed. You can also pause and rewind live as it is being streamed now if you would want to go back or pause. So kom ons gesels bietjie oor vakkeuses. This might be the most important decision of your life, not just for the rest of your high school career, but for your life. Your decision now will impact what you can or cannot study, what careers you can follow, as well as whether the career you want to follow is a career that you're actually interested in or good at. Die verkeerde vakkeuse kan die gevolg hê dat jy 'n nagmerrie gevulde senior gedeelte van jou hoërskoolloopbaan beleef. Vol huiswerk wat jy nie weet hoe om te doen nie, 'n stresvolle eksamen oor werk wat jy nie verstaan nie, vakveranderinge met nuwe vakke en hope werk om in te haal, afkeurings vanaf universiteite omdat jy die verkeerde vakke gekies het, en die ergste van alles, om geforseer te word in 'n beroepsrigting wat jy nie regtig in belang stel nie. Ek hoop dit bring die belangrikheid van hierdie keuse bietjie meer in fokus. Please do not bank on the fact that you can make subject choices or subject changes later on. Choose the correct subjects from the start. So let's have a look. The first thing I would like to say is, when you choose your subjects, choose subjects to a specific career field, not just a specific career. Meaning that if you choose subjects, you will have a little bit of flexibility. Want as jy in 'n beroepsrigting ingaan, kan jy in daai spesifieke rigting miskien 'n spesifieke beroep kies, in plaas daarvan om van die begin af na een beroep heen te gaan. Dit gee mens daarom so bietjie meer kans om te speel met die keuses later aan. Ek vertel altyd hierdie storie van 'n graad 9 seun wat na my toe gekom het 'n paar jaar terug en vir my gesê het, ja, hy wil na skool gaan leer hoe om huise te teken. En ek sê toe vir hom, okay, so jy wil 'n argitek word. Toe sê hy, nee, hy wil nie argitek word nie, hy wil gaan huise teken. En dit het my so effens geskok en my laat besef dat baie van ons graad 9's het geen idee watter rigtings, watter werk is nie. So dis belangrik dat ons hierdie aspek heel eerste behandel. En dit is iets waarvan ek nie regtig kan help nie. So wat ek wil voorstel is, as jy nie seker is nie, asseblief gaan vir 'n aanlegtoets. Dis ongelooflik belangrik dat jy gaan vir 'n aanlegtoets, dat jy weet in watter rigting jy wil ingaan, en van daar af kan ek julle help om die regte vakke te kies. Think about where you want to go, where you want to be, but also keep in mind that you need to be realistic. For example, if grade 8 and 9 you've been struggling with mathematics, you've never gotten more than 50% for mathematics in your grade 8 or 9 years, I don't think you'll be able to really go to mathematics in grade 10 because the difficulty level does go up immensely. And I'll give you an example of this a little bit later on. Keep in mind that professions may not exist now, but will exist 5 years from now, or even 10 years from now. Some researchers reckon that the average 18-year-old today could do 8 or more different jobs before retiring at the age of 60 or 65. So it's even more important now to choose these subjects and career paths in a direction in which you are interested in. Baie belangrik, weer eens, ek wil net onderstreep, dat ek kan nie vir u sê watter loopbaan om te volg nie. So gaan vir 'n aanlegtoets, ek sal kontakbesonderhede later in die video deurgee vir die wat sou belangstel. Before we get to the actual subject choices, let's look at the two choices you currently have in front of you at the end of grade 9. Grade 9 is the first exit point from the school system recognized by the Department of Education. At the age of 16, students are allowed to leave the educational system. These learners can attend occupational schools such as FET colleges or apply for an apprenticeship, of which there are many available, like a plumber or motor mechanic or something like that. Dis vir my baie interessant dat baie leerders vandag wil nie regtig met hulle hande uitwerk nie, Maar ons moet ook verstaan dat daar baie leerlinge is wat nie akademies georiënteerd is nie en dat hulle baie goed is om daarmee met hande te werk. So dit is 'n moontlike opsie. Moenie neerkyk na so 'n rigting nie. As dit is waar jou sterkpunt lê, kyk baie ernstig daarna. Opsie 2. Indien die kind besluit om na graad 10 toe te gaan, volg hy of sy 'n akademiese roete. Die doel daarvan is om dus op te eindig met 'n matrieksertifikaat, 'n nasionale senior sertifikaat aan die einde van graad 12 en die opsie om na 'n tersiêre instansie toe te gaan. So, hoe loop my pad van hierso af? Graad 9 nou op hierdie oomblik. Besluit, wat wil ek word? Watter beroepsrigting wil ek volg? Watter vakke het ek nodig? En watter vakke kan my help? Begin dink aan watter punte simbole het ek nodig om te kwalifiseer en ek gaan bietjie later daaroor praat. In graad 10, work hard to lay the basis for my next 3 years. Keep in mind that high school from grade 10 to grade 12, there are not 3 one-year courses, but 1 3-year course building up to your matric end exam. Keep in touch with new developments and regulations in my field of study. Ensure my marks are kept at a level needed for this direction of studies. If needed, make final subject changes by the start of term 2 in grade 10. Grade 11, now I start thinking, where do I want to go and study? Which university, which institution? Then, are my marks good enough for entry to my chosen field of study? And then we apply at these tertiary institutions at the end of grade 11. En dan in graad 12 moet ek seker maak, is my punte nog reg? Is my vakkeuses nog reg? Maak seker daarvan sodat daar nie een of ander verrassing is aan die einde van graad 12 en jy kan nie meer gaan swat in die rigting waarin jy wil gaan nie. So kom ons kyk 'n bietjie meer na die opsies by Nico Malan vir vakke. Eerstens het ons tale. Leerders moet 2 tale vat. Dit is baie belangrik. So Afrikaans huistaal met 'n Engels tweede taal, English home language with Afrikaans as an additional language, or you can also take both as a home language. Then we have life orientation, which of course is a compulsory subject that all students must take, and then the choice of mathematics versus mathematical literacy, which I'll get into a little bit later on. Na hierdie 4 verpligte vakke moet jy dan 3 ander vakke kies om jou totaal na 7 toe te vat, want jy moet 7 vakke hê. En ons het 'n lys van vakke en ek gaan bietjie meer in detail kyk na elkeen van hierdie vakke later, en dit sal ook op die vakkeuse vorm beskikbaar wees. Where do these subjects come from? I often get people asking me, why do we have so many subjects up to grade 9? And the main idea is that you have contact with as many subject fields as possible so that you can see what is accounting, for example. Dis hoekom jy EBW het, want EBW in graad 10 gaan na ekonomie, besigheidstudie, rekeningkunde. So in EBW het jy daarom so 'n bietjie 'n gevoel gekry vir hierdie 3 vakke. Natuurwetenskappe split op in fisiese wetenskappe en lewenswetenskappe, tegnologie gaan na IGO en verbruikerstudie, sosiale wetenskappe na geografie en toerisme toe, en dan natuurlik het ons ook ons nuwe vakke wat hulle nie in graad 8 en 9 aanbied op hierdie stadium nie, en dit is RTT en IT. Ek gaan bietjie later meer in detail kyk na party van hierdie vakke. By Nico Malan werk dit huidiglik so dat ons vakgroepe het, en die 7 vakgroepe is op die skerm nou. Elke leerder moet 1 vak kies in elke een van hierdie 7 groepe. En neem asseblief in ag, soos wat ek onder in blou skryf, groepe 5, 6 en 7 kan verander, as gevolg van hoe die graad 9's hulle vakke kies, en ons gaan bietjie later praat daaroor, maar waarop dit neerkom is, dat as daar te min leerlinge 'n vak in 'n spesifieke groep kies, kan ons moontlik daardie vak uit daai groep uithaal as gevolg van 'n tekort aan personeel. Op die volgende paar slides het ek voorbeelde van vakke wat in spesifieke rigtings kan belangrik wees. En ek kan sien in die kolom nommer 1 is die spesifieke rigting of kwalifikasie, kolom 2 is die verpligte vakke vir daardie spesifieke kwalifikasie, en kolom 3 is vakke wat universiteite sien as opsioneel, maar goeie vakke om te hê vir daardie spesifieke rigting. Ek gaan hierdie insluit in die opsommingsblad wat ook na die tyd beskikbaar sal wees. So ek gaan net so deurkyk en ons kan sien daarso het ons byvoorbeeld ingenieurswese, argitektuur, we also have BAs such as sport management, medicine and surgery, nursing, chemistry, etc. And then we also have the last two wat natuurlik onderwys en regte is, ons LLB. Please note that these are just examples. These are not the be-all and end-all of what subjects are needed. Different institutions might have different subjects that they want in specific directions. So if you want to go into these directions, please go and do your homework, go onto the websites. If you can't find it there, give them a phone call, talk to them, send them an email, and just please make sure these are just examples of what might be possible to give you a rough idea in which direction you could go. So, what subject combination should I look at? Ek het 'n paar hierso neergesit, net om 'n idee te gee. Byvoorbeeld, as jy in die handelsrigting, besigheidsrigting wil ingaan, kan jy kyk na ekonomie, rekeningkunde, besigheidstudies. As jy meer in die mediese rigting wil ingaan, let op, vir 'n mediese rigting is wiskunde en fisiese wetenskappe is verpligtend, en daarbey lewenswetenskappe, en dan miskien 'n rekeningkunde, en dan sluit ek ook daarbey in RTT, wat natuurlik 'n belangrike opsie is, want deesdae werk alles op rekenaars. So ek glo dit is 'n baie belangrike ding om rekenaarkennis te hê en te weet hoe met rekenaars te kan werk. Architecture, engineering, we have EGD, Engineering, Graphics and Design, Physical Science and Geography, which is a very good combination for that direction. And then if you're looking at a career in IT, computers, look at CAT, IT, and perhaps combine that with business studies. But what if you are still not sure? You don't know what you want to go and study. You have so many options. Well, then you might look at a situation where you choose subjects that open a wide variety of different directions to go and study after finishing school. For example, option 1, we have there life sciences, or EGD, combined with physical sciences and accounting. And option 2, life sciences, CAT and geography. Both of these options will open up a multitude of directions to go and study after school. What if academics is not my main goal? Or perhaps you don't plan on going to university after school. There are 3 options that you could look at. And it's important to note that these 3 options are usually combined with mathematical literacy. I'm also going to say that these options that I've just shown you over the last 3 slides will also be included in my summary that you can download afterwards. So you can just check over them again. Now, let's have a closer look at some of these subjects. Byvoorbeeld, wiskunde en wiskundige geletterdheid. Ek kry ongelooflik baie navrae waar mense my vra, maar wat is die verskil tussen hierdie twee? En ek dink die eerste ding wat ek wil sê is, asseblief, wiskundige geletterdheid is nie vir, en ek gaan in aanhalingstekens sê, dom mense nie. Dit is glad nie so nie. Dit is maar net 'n feit dat vir party mense maak wiskunde net nie sin nie. Party mense is net nie aangelê vir wiskunde nie. Wiskunde is 'n ongelooflike moeilike vak. 'n ander ding by wiskunde is ook dat jy moet in gedagte hou dat werksetiek is ongelooflik belangrik. Jy kan nie sit en nie huiswerk doen nie, of klasse mis, of enigiets in daai lyn nie. Dit is 'n vol syllabus, dus moet jy altyd bybly by die werk en self kan gaan sit en werk. Ek het ook genoem, as jy nou in graad 8 en 9 minder as 50% vir wiskunde kry, asseblief moenie wiskunde vat in graad 10 nie. Dis vreeslik om te sê, maar wiskundepunte gaan nie ewe skielik net opgaan in graad 10 nie. Soos ek al voorheen genoem het, party mense is net nie aangelê vir wiskunde nie. En ek dink dit is 'n ongelooflike baie belangrike besluit om te neem. 'n Feit wat ek kan noem is dat met vakveranderings in graad 10 kan ek nou al sê dat ten minste 50% van leerlinge wat wiskunde vat aan die begin van graad 10 verander na wiskunde geletterdheid toe binne die eerste 2 kwartale van graad 10. Wiskunde geletterdheid maak nog steeds ongelooflik baie rigtings oop. So what is mathematical literacy? What's the difference? Well, I can sum it up as saying that mathematical literacy focuses more on applying mathematical principles. In other words, how these mathematical principles are used in our everyday lives. From simple things like working out the surface area to tile or carpet the whole house, to figuring out the monthly payment on a new car, including interest and compound interest and things like that. So it is a very, very useful subject. Next, we look at tourism. Tourism before I even start explaining what it is, I need everybody to understand that we no longer have easy subjects. All subjects are difficult, just in different varying degrees. Some subjects might be difficult concepts, other subjects might be difficult because of the amount of work, the physical effort needed to get all of this work done in the subject, so please keep that in mind. Toerisme is 'n vak wat ongelooflik baie navorsing in ag neem. Daar's baie leerwerk. Dit sluit ook baie komponente in wat aansluit by vakke soos geografie, ekonomie, besigheidstudies. Dis 'n goeie kombinasie saam met byvoorbeeld miskien besigheidstudie en geografie of 'n kombinasie saam met verbruikerstudie en rekenaartoepassingstegnologie of RTT. Watter werksgeleenthede vir iemand wat toerisme vat? Iemand wat sy eie besigheid wil begin, entrepreneur. Of miskien selfs, ons almal weet, Suid-Afrika is 'n ongelooflike groot toeriste aantreklikheid. But please keep in mind that tourism does not just focus on South African tourism, but worldwide. Consumer studies. I think it's important to understand that consumer studies is not just about cooking. It also includes many aspects from other subjects. It teaches you how to interact with clientele. It teaches you business strategies, drawing in customers, and also subject-specific terminology and basic etiquette. Ekonomie en besigheidstudie. Vir ekonomie is dit baie belangrik dat leerlinge moet verstaan, jy moet 'n bietjie wiskundekennis hê hiervoor. Byvoorbeeld vir grafiekontleding. By ekonomie is werksetiek ongelooflik belangrik, want dit is baie werk, baie leerwerk. Daar is baie vakverbonde taal wat jy in geen ander vakke gaan kry nie. Baie memorisering van feite. Om dit kortliks op te som, using limited resources effectively to suit the needs and wants of consumers, taking into account external factors that influence businesses worldwide and in our country. Business studies is more focused on the inner workings of a specific or single business. For example, business proposals, business plans, and how a business can or should interact with customers to satisfy their needs. Keep in mind that both these subjects have a lot of theoretical work to learn for exams. Then if we look at EGD, IGO, Engineering, Graphics and Design. Dit kom vanuit tegnologie in graad 9 en is 'n ongelooflike goeie vak vir iemand wat 'n ingenieur, argitek of enigiets in daai lyn wil gaan doen. In the subject, they produce drawings within the contexts of mechanical, civil, electronic technology. We also work in the computer labs for EGD, where we use a program called AutoCAD to teach children how to use computers to enable them to create these drawings using computer-aided design. IGO is werksetiek baie belangrik. Daar word ongelooflik baie tekeninge gedoen, baie daarvan word as huiswerk gedoen, omdat daar nie baie tyd in klas is om dit te doen nie. En dan gaan ons oor na RTT en IT, wat twee nuwe vakke is, waar die graad 8 en 9 is nog nie regtig vreeslik baie te doen gehad het nie. En by beide hierdie vakke gaan ek ook sê dat werksetiek is belangrik, veral vir IT. IT is programmering. IT as 'n vak is waar ek vir leerders leer hoe om te programmeer. Ons gebruik 'n spesifieke program met die naam van Delphi om die basiese programmeringstegnieke tuis te bring tot leerders. And I am going to say this is a very difficult subject. Mathematics is a subject that you should be taking in combination with IT, although it is not compulsory, it does help you quite a lot. Also, a computer at home for IT is compulsory. You cannot do the subject without spending time at home in front of the computer. As a school, we do provide the Delphi programming language to learners so that they can install it at home, and I will help them to install and activate the program. But please, if you want to take IT, computer is compulsory. Also note that we only accept a maximum of 20 learners for IT. What happens is at the end of the year for grade 9s, in the end of term 3, start of term 4, we take these learners that are interested in IT for a short course that usually stretches over a week, perhaps 2 weeks, giving them an introduction, and at the end of this, we write an exam. And according to this exam, in combination with their mathematics marks, we look at which learners we will allow to take the subject. And again, this is not to exclude learners, but it is an extremely difficult subject. So, yeah, think carefully if you want to take IT. With IT, we have CAT. And CAT is more focused on what we call end user computing. So in CAT, we focus more on how a computer is used, where in IT, we focus more on how the computer is created, how the software is created. So in CAT, we look at working in our end user products. We focus on Microsoft Office, like Word, Excel, Access. We also do some web designing in the subject, and there's of course also a rather large theoretical component in both subjects. For CAT, I'm also going to say that a computer at home might not be compulsory, but very highly recommended. This has especially been highlighted in the last 2 years, where we've had so many early school closures, etc., due to our current situation. And students who did not have computers at home really struggle to keep up with the subject. Because it is a practical subject, you need to spend time in front of a computer actually practicing. The computer labs are open during break times and also certain afternoons, but having a computer at home will definitely help you. Very important, as I've said, it is important for both of these subjects. You have to spend time in front of a computer. You can't read a book on how to go deep diving in the ocean and then just go out and do it the first time. It's a practical skill. You actually have to sit and work. So, I hope you noticed how many times I've used the words work ethic. Werksetiek is ongelooflik belangrik wanneer ons in graad 10 tot 12 inkom. Dit is 'n akademiese rigting waarna ons ingaan, so jy gaan hard moet werk om seker te maak jy kry goeie punte. Jy kan nie terugsit en net dink ek gaan goeie punte kry nie. So asseblief, werksetiek is ongelooflik belangrik. Begin nou al besluit hoe ek dit gaan aanpak. Jy gaan moet hard werk. I can also say that a very important point here, the jump in difficulty level from grade 9 to grade 10 is a shock to the system for many students and parents. Because we are going down from a lot of subjects to less subjects, it means that every subject goes into much greater detail and it is much more difficult. And most all students experience a drop in marks in the first 2 terms for grade 10. This is due to the increased workload and higher difficulty levels that are enforced from subject curriculums. But please don't get discouraged by this. Keep on working hard, and I promise you your marks will return to their normal points in time. So, after all of that, what do I need to gain university entrance? The first thing I say there is that years ago there was something called a designated list, and every now and then I still see some forms where they mention this. This in effect mentioned that some subjects were not eligible for university entrance. This is no longer in effect. It has not been in effect for a few years. All subjects offered at Nico Malan High School are approved NSC subjects. So that is not a problem anymore. So what do you need? Well, if you want to go and study a bachelor's degree, you need 4 subjects higher than 50%. For a diploma, 4 subjects above 40%. The only subject that we do not include in these calculations is LO. I mentioned there at the bottom, it is important. Because of this fact that the designated list is no longer in effect, it means that CAT and or tourism has no impact on qualification for further studies. You can take both of those subjects, get 50% or more for 4 subjects out of your 7, and still qualify to go to university for a bachelor's degree. Just as a side note, if you do not qualify for a bachelor's degree, there are many other options. Please investigate some of these options. As I've said at the start, some students are not really academically orientated and they are not going to go and do a degree. But there are many other options, and if you want more information on that, you're more than welcome to contact me. So, this is an important slide, and I mentioned this when we talked at the start about mathematics. The marks that I'm showing on the screen at the moment are based on some actual marks from students from a few years ago. And I want you to look at the subject choices of these 2 students. As you can see, student A has chosen all of the correct subjects, in quotation marks, all of these subjects that people think, yes, these are the subjects you need to do well to go to university, etc. Student B has taken the, again in quotes, lesser subjects. But the interesting thing here is that due to the marks from student A does not qualify to go to university to study a bachelor's degree, because keep in mind from the previous slide, you need 4 subjects over 50%. Student A only has 3. So student A only qualifies to do a diploma, no bachelor's degree. In contrast, student B has more than 4 subjects over 50%. In actual fact, all of student B's subjects are over 50%. Which means that student B does qualify to go to university to study a bachelor's degree. Of course, certain degrees will not be possible due to mathematical literacy, but student B will be able to do the university study process. Okay, so, on that note, please, mathematical literacy is not useless. You can go to university with just mathematical literacy. It's not a problem. There are many degrees that you can go and study. LLB, nursing, business management, BA development studies, bachelor's degree in education, IT, interior design, journalism, nature conservation, pharmacy technical assistant, sport management, bachelor's in social working. There are so many options for mathematical literacy. So please don't sit with mathematics and struggle and fail mathematics. Please think about your subject choices. An important point here as well is that subject choices and subject changes is a bit of a problem for many students, because if we take this example of student A, and student A decides, okay, I'm not doing well, I'm going to leave mathematics for mathematical literacy, I'm going to leave physical sciences for business studies. This means that he now has to catch up on 2 subjects, 2 new subjects, and catch up on all of the work that he or she has missed up to that point. Meaning that they have to keep up with the new work currently being taught, and if they change the subject, they still have to catch up on all of the previous work to be able to actually do the subject. So this just shows again how important it is to make your choices correctly at the start. Now we've got our subjects, and now we need to decide, do I qualify for certain directions at school, this field of study. So in this matter, they use an APS score. And the APS score basically assigns a value to every single subject that you have depending on the performance in that subject. Dis belangrik om ook op te let net dat, soos ek genoem het in die verlede, Nico Malan, al ons vakke is goedgekeurde nasionaal senior sertifikate en almal van hulle dra dus by tot hierdie APS telling. As you can see, I put a little screenshot there about showing one of these calculators. You are more than welcome to go onto the university websites. Most all of them have these calculators. Add the subjects, add what you think you will be getting in these subjects, and you will get an APS score at the bottom. This APS score will then be an indication of whether you will qualify for the specific direction that you want to go and study in. I can't really give you an exact value of which APS score for which direction, as these can change from one institution to another. So please go and do your research. But it is important that if you want to go and study course A, and university says you need 34 APS points to study course A, this student on this screenshot has 36 points, so they will be allowed to study in that specific direction. So a few important notes. Firstly, mathematics is compulsory when taking physical sciences. This is a departmental regulation which we cannot ignore. Second bullet there. This means that if you drop mathematics for mathematical literacy, you will have to drop physical sciences as well, which means subject choices, subject changes. This means you now have to catch up on work in 2 subjects. So very important to choose wisely. CAT and IT may be taken together. In the past, this was a problem. This is not a problem anymore. And as I've said, IT should be taken with maths. It's not compulsory, but it does help you quite a lot in the subject. Bullet number 4, if less than 10 students choose a subject in a group, the subject could be dropped from the available choices. Dan vir IGO verbruikerstudie en IT sal sifting plaasvind, sien dat daar beperkte spasie is, sowel as die tegniese aspekte van die vakke, en die leerders nadat hulle vakke gekies het, sal die onderwysers van hierdie vakke met hulle in kontak tree en met hulle gesels oor hoe die proses gaan werk. Vakveranderinge, belangrik. Vakveranderinge word gedoen deur die departement van onderwys en ons het baie spesifieke sperdatums vir hierdie vakveranderinge. Graad 10 kan hulle 2 vakke verander in die eerste week van kwartaal 2, dit is die laaste tyd wat hulle daar kan verander. In graad 11, voor die einde van Februarie, 2 vakke en dan aan die einde van graad 11, 1 vak. Graad 12, geen vakveranderinge nie. Wanneer hulle inloop in wanneer hulle uit die skool uitgaan aan die einde van graad 11, is dit hulle finale vakkeuse. Die departement sal geen vakveranderinge toestaan in graad 12 nie. Weer eens ook, ons kan nie vakveranderinge toelaat na hierdie datums nie. Die datums word gewoonlik aan die begin van elke jaar vir ons gegee en ek gee dit deur vir die leerlinge sowel as die ouers in briewe sover as wat ons kan, maar ons moet bly by hierdie datums. Ons kan ongelukkig nie hierdie datums aanpas om ons leerlinge te pas nie. So hou dit in gedagte asseblief. So, what is the process from here? Firstly, subject choice forms have been handed out to all grade 9s and these must please be returned by the 3rd of September. Very important, I need to have those back please because we need to start doing our planning with regards to staff provisioning and timetables. Please fill in these forms with your child and indicate the subject choice clearly. And then very important please, parent or guardian must sign this form before handing it back. There is a specific place for you to sign, so please do this before you send it back to school with your child. If needed, contact someone for career counseling, aptitude tests, etc. I will be providing some contact details. Please do the research needed. I've said this quite a few times, including contacting tertiary institutions, visiting websites, speaking to professionals in this chosen trade or field. Ek vind dit nogals baie goed as 'n leerling kan gaan praat met iemand wat die spesifieke beroep doen. Miskien selfs in die vakansie gaan en 'n dag of 2 saam met so 'n persoon in die besigheid gaan wees en net kyk hoe werk hy, wat doen hy eintlik. Baie mense het 'n verkeerde opvatting van wat 'n spesifieke beroep is as gevolg van wat hulle op TV sien of wat hulle hoor. So dit kan belangrik wees en 'n baie goeie ding wees vir 'n leerling om net vir 'n dag of 2 saam met een van die persone saam te gaan en net te kyk wat hulle doen. Now, once you've filled in this form, please send it back to your school, back to the school with your child. Please send the forms back even if you might still make a small change. This is very important. Op hierdie tyd van die jaar is daar natuurlik die mense wat die toetse doen word oorval met aansoeke, so nie almal kry dadelike afspraak nie. Ek wil vra asseblief, vul die vorm in soos wat u op hierdie stadium dink, sodat ek solank dit kan capture, and then once I've captured everything and you come back to me at the end of September and you say, listen, after all of these aptitude tests, we've decided to drop business studies and rather take life sciences, that's fine because at least your other 6 subjects, I already have those and I've already put them into my computer and I can start planning from that. That one little change will not have such a big effect as 7 changes once I get the form back later. I will collect these forms from the students to collate and will be available to students if they need any advice. They can come and have a chat to me at any time. And then I'm also asking, please hand these forms in directly to me. Please don't hand them into other staff members or the office or via another student or anything like that. As in the past, I have had forms disappear. And if I don't have that form, I don't have you on my system, so I'm not making space for you for grade 10. And this is important because especially in subjects where we have a lot of kids taking that subject, it is on a first come first serve basis. So as ek hier aan die einde van September besef, hierdie kind se vorm is nog nie in nie en ek het al reeds 35 kinders in daai klas, kan ek nie nog 'n persoon in daai klas in toelaat nie. So asseblief maak seker daai vorm kom direk na my toe terug. The subject choice forms, you can see them on the screen right now. I will be, as I've said, they will be handed out to each and every grade 9 student, but they will also be available to download in the description of this video if you choose to do so. Otherwise, please use the one that we handed out. Please fill them in very clearly so that it is easy to understand, and as you can see, it is set up in such a way that for each block you choose one subject. So asseblief maak maar net 'n kruisie by die vak. Belangrik in party van die vakgroepe, soos byvoorbeeld rekenaar toepassingstegnologie en besigheidstudie, sal jy sien is in al 3 groepe. Dit maak nie saak in watter groep u die kruisie maak nie, want hierdie groepe kan, ons gaan die getalle kan ons moontlik bietjie verander net om dit te laat inpas by ons beplanning. So kies dit in enige een van die groepe, solank die regte vakke net gekies is, maak die groep nie ongelooflik baie saak nie. Okay, so as well as this subject choice form, I will also on the back of this have a different subject choice form where we do not have groups, sogenaamde oop vakkeuse. So wat ek net wil vra is, indien u nie die vakke kan kies in hierdie groepe, met ander woorde 1 per groep. As jy nie die vakke kan kies in daai groepe nie, byvoorbeeld, daar's miskien 2 vakke in 1 groep wat nie in ander groepe is nie, asseblief dui dit vir my aan agter op die bladsy. Baie belangrik asseblief. Dit beteken nie dat hierdie vakkeuse op die agterblad moontlik gaan wees nie. Ons wil net 'n aanduiding hê van hierdie vakke waar daar moontlike probleme is, sodat ons kan kyk na 'n moontlike skuif in die vakkeuses. Die kans dat dit gaan gebeur is baie skraal, maar as daar so baie belangstelling is, kan ons dit oorweeg en ons sal dit natuurlik dan kommunikeer aan die leerlinge en die ouers indien dit moontlik is. Saam met dit, I also mentioned earlier that if a specific subject or subject group has less than 10 students in that subject group, the subject might not be available. If something like that happens, we will get into contact with the students and tell them, listen, sorry, this subject will not be available anymore in that group, so we will have to look at something else. So we will get into contact with you regarding that. So, ladies and gents, that is it for this presentation. I really hope that this has given you the information that you need. Good luck with your subject choices and stay safe. Please send the forms in as quickly as possible and we will chat again in the future. Good night.